Hello VR users, Alex here, your VRayGuide, and today I want to show you how to place cutout people in your 3D environments. And for that we're going to use of course Photoshop, but I'm gonna show you this cool little trick. It's an old school trick by placing 3D objects in your scene, rendering a separate pass of just black and whites, and using this pass in order to match the height and the proportion of your photo of your cutout person in Photoshop. Sometimes this can be a big issue, big mismatch. I always see works that people are missing a little height of placement. So we're going to use some helpers, and the first helper is going to be this girl. Of course, the models that you're bringing in, they have to be in the right height. So this girl probably came with centimeters and my scene in inches. And we all know that 1 inch equals to 2.54 centimeters. So I'm going to take this girl and I'm going to multiply the whole thing to 254 to get the right height. So group, color girl, and just make sure when you place in it that the girl is getting the right height. So it's kind of more or less, yeah. I mean the table, I'm having pretty high table, like a bar table. This kind of getting to my tummy here. So this girl got the same height, more or less. So by placing your objects, if I would place it somewhere here, it will get a lot of attention. Or if I'll place it two in a foreground somewhere here, it also might get too much of attention and also block some of my objects, some of my design objects, and I don't really want that. I want that person to merge perfectly within the environment. So I gotta find a good place to place that. Whoops. So something here from the side, kind of going towards, she's finished cooking and she's trying to get back to the living room. So somewhere here, whoops, could be good. It's not really blocking, it's not really interfering. I don't have much objects at the back, so this is kind of good position. And another one will be probably somewhere here on the chair. Make sure that the models that you're placing, they more or less in the same got the same photos that you're placing in, so they have the same kind of high look or movement. So another one is going to be a woman, sitting woman. So we're just doing that to get the right proportion for Photoshop. It's not a 3D work. It's not really matter if those models look perfect or not. This is not such a good model, but it's in the sitting position, and I have to have some object for that sitting position. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place that woman as much as possible to fit that chair. It will help me a lot in getting the right. So I'm assuming if she would sit, the whole chair is going to bend a little bit, and something like this would work fine. Alright, yeah, she looks good. Okay, go back to camera 2. So we got one person here in a chair, one girl standing here. Now we need to render this pass. So I'm going to go and use render mask. You can click download here, and after you have downloaded it, you can find it the Illusion Studio box. You can find it in your custom user interface, and then just select it. So I'm going to, I have already downloaded and installed it, but I'm going to show you how to find it. So we're going to go to Customize User Interface, and we're going to go to Toolbars, scroll down, find the illusion box, and just drag and drop it. It's probably going to appear here on the top my my panel. So I'm going to drag and drop. Boom, got it here. We got a new icon. Gonna close this, and I'm gonna open my render mask. Both of those, sorry, only one lady selected. So both of those objects selected, the woman and the girl. And well, after selecting them, I can click render mask. Now the render is done, and we can go ahead and save it. I'm gonna click here, save, and select the folder. Gonna go and paste it here, call it mask people. You can save it as JPEG, it doesn't really matter. It's just a helper to help you place the person better. Alright, so previews, drag and drop it in Photoshop, and voila, you have your, put it on the screen mode, and voila, you have your person right where you want it. Okay, so this is also cool. Some people use those kind of ghosty shadow look. If you want, you can also have it, just to emphasize that, you know, the size and the proportions of the space, how people fit in it. But we are going to use it for our purpose of planting cutout people. So this lady probably would not work, but this sitting lady would probably work the best for the sitting position. So I'm gonna drag and drop it. Of course, huge size, that's good. You can always scale it down. And bring it here just to see how the lady fits. Yeah. Can always play with opacity. Looks good. Somewhere here. Alright. And I'm gonna go and make folder. Call it woman 1. You always want to be organized while doing this. And now I can start and doing masks on the woman. For masks, I actually can use the wire color. Wire color most of the time provides you with good anti-aliased masks. Just make sure you place it in the right place. It's all matching and everything. Now let's go ahead, select our couch here, close the mask. I can see that it selected a little bit of that lamp or that table that we don't really need. So what we can do, you can do the lasso tool and kind of remove it from selection. We can see that the selection shifted a little bit just because we used lens distortion, so everything shifted. So if you do stuff like that, you place people, just make sure you do it before the lens distortion. So this pass doesn't really help us at this point, but we can kind of match it, kind of move it and shift it around a little bit. Alright, now select inverse and click mask and apply this mask to that woman, and you can fix manually just what was not cleared, what didn't went with the mask well, so you just kind of fix it a little bit better. It's not a big deal when you work in a high res. This image is 5K. So this is a high production. What we do, provide high quality images, and then it's very easy to do the selections and to work in Photoshop because you can zoom in and get all the details you actually looking for to get in your image. Alright, so sounds very delicate but easy to do, you know, a couple of seconds and boom. Just make sure you're not overlapping too much or getting too crazy lines, you know, stuff that like looks pixelated or anti-aliased, doesn't look anti-aliased properly. Alright, so this girl looks good. Now the next stages is we gotta match the colorization. Probably what I would do is just use some of the color balance, and it's good to work with those layer modes because you can always hide it or hide it. Now make sure you press Alt and click and assign the color balance just to the girl. You can see that her colorization is a little bit off, and I'm trying to match it a little bit better just to fit our kind of monochromatic look, because this came out a little bit monochromatic in a sense. Alright, so something like this. Always hide and unhide to see how the picture's merging. I can see that we have a little bit too much of magenta, so I'm going to remove that. Now it looks a little better, I think. Too much on the reds, a little bit less. Hide and unhide. See, much better tonality, and it kind of fits better. Now curves is a good way also to kind of push back and forward the levels, the lightness of the image. So the lower one will be the darkness. Whoops, again, make sure you press Alt and you work only on the girls. So adding a little bit dark tones and a little bit of high tones could make this image fit better. See that? I'm getting a little bit better tonality, but if it's too much, we can always play with opacity and get it like 50%, 60% in a way. So that's actually good. Getting right contrast here. Now we have light coming in, and normally what you can do, you can just paint it over. So what I do is I would create a new layer and just have a little bit white here, and then click Alt on the girl and then on that layer and create mask. So that looks a little shifted. Now take that and put it on the soft light mode, and of course remove it from the face, from the places where it shouldn't be. So it's our face looking towards us, so we're just gonna get it on that side. See, it looks a little bit better now because we're getting this feeling of lighting. Now on top of that, or just below that layer, we can also do some, if you feel like you need to do levels, you can always try to get the girl in the right level here. You can also play with it. You can get masks on levels or on colors. You can have, if you have a yellow color kind of lamp, like we have a lamp here, but it's not really throwing a lot of light. But if I would have a darker scene with a lot of light, I can play with masks and colors just to match the lighting on the woman's face and kind of simulate what's going on in the scene. Another one is color contrast balance, also can be useful. Again, press Alt and apply this to this chain of layers. So I can do something like this, and then If I don't want it on the face or somewhere here, I can do gradient, and I just get it. You see here, I get it on the side of a hand a little bit, right? So it's kind of mixing, blending better with my environment. All right, so I think girl 1 is done. It's pretty good. Now we can move to the woman, to the girl number 2 that is standing here. And again, those people, cutout people, you can find them for free if you go to free stuff at viz-people right here. You can scroll down, you can find cutout dogs and cats and people with the sun and kids and office. It's pretty good free collection. Download for free, use it. So this one's kind of, it's more clubby looking. This maybe this would fit my scene a little better. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead, drag and drop it here. This one came out a little bit small, so I'm going to resize it a little bit. I'm going to transform horizontal, right, like this, and place it here. Now this woman look a little bit too obvious, and it doesn't really matches whatever's going on here. But what I'm gonna do, if you get stuff like this, you can always use blur effect. You can always just duplicate the layer, so we will not ruin it. Close the original one and work with one that you just duplicated. Go to blur, motion blur, and give this woman a little motion blur like this. So make sure you can kind of make it maybe an angle, so that would look like, because normally people, when they move, they don't move in one line. They go kind of up and down, and they twist their arms and stuff. So something like this can work. Just blurry. And now I can duplicate this one more time, put it on top, maybe give it a little bit more blurry effect. See how this goes, motion blur. And what is this? Here we go. Sometimes hard to find. All right, this looks good. This looks good. Kind of blurry, don't really see much. That's what I'm looking for. And now we're gonna unhide this one. And what actually happening is, when the person moves, he leaves this kind of trail behind him. So when you do motion blur, you do motion blur in both sides. You go like forward and backward. So the proper way of applying it probably would be if you could get the first image and then you move it. Let's zoom in. Whoops. Get the first image, which is underneath. Change the opacity, but kind of move it towards this one. So we get this nice kind of follow-up trail. And even if we have really stretched one, this one, we can apply to this a little bit of a the one that is stretched the most. We can apply rub and do some stretches to stretch a little bit, just to get the range of emotion, like she was really walking and moving her arms and everything. So yeah, something like this. You see that? It's kind of got that, like, whoop, he got in the motion. Alright, so her tonality is a little off, so what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm gonna create a folder, call it woman 2. and place the whole thing in that folder. And what I actually can do, I can apply a lot of effects on that folder, like color balance. Just make sure you press Alt and you assign this to that guy. Something like this. High tones. Kind of gotta get this chromatic, monochromatic look, kind of color processing look. Maybe a little bit old. It's a preference of style. Now we can see it was a little reddish, but now it's blending much better. Just hide and unhide, and see how the woman blends. Curves. Again, Alt, just to apply it to that. Yeah, curves is really hard to deal with. Something like this. And we can also apply a mask to that girl, so she will not go through our table. Alright, so something like this. Would work nice. Again, remove it from all the foreground objects if you have any objects that's been blocked, or do that prior that level, because after you do the professional lens distortion and applying all the realistic plugins and effects, you can see I get here chromatic aberration and lens distortion, and the channels shift naturally, so it's hard to use the wire color to get the right masks to clean this up. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to do it, but if you do it right, it should take you more than like 5-6 minutes. And boom, voila, it looks more realistic, more alive. If you have reflections on your floor, you can always take this woman, I can take it, duplicate it, move it, flip it over, and I would get reflections. If you have shadows, you can also take this shadow, throw it on the floor, make it black or dark, reduce opacity, make it work with your lights. And that's about it. It's easy peasy, no super hard stuff. Just make sure you're getting the right placement of the objects, the right scale, and you're good to go. If you want this scene, you can get it. You can press the link below and follow up and get this scene. Of course, we keep running the Cubicle challenge, so if you guys want to join and see how this scene was done, you're more than welcome to watch all the video tutorials. If you like it, share it with your friends, and I hope you find it useful in your daily work. Alright, this was Alex, your VRayGuide. Talk soon. Ciao.